Welcome back, guys, to yet another video on this channel. Today we are going over the weekly Wowhead Economy weekly wrap-up post, and this is number 214. So I mean, we're definitely getting up there in numbers. Obviously, of course, written up by the lovely Samanan. He obviously has a video on this himself, where he also goes over his usual weekly adventures in the game by himself. So if you guys want to check this out, obviously click on the link for the post itself. I will be posting that down in the description below. But before we get into this, make sure you drop a like on the video. Yeah, that's really going to be it. If you also aren't subscribed, you can also click on that. You know, ding the notification bells. It's good for the algorithm. Anyway, today on the table of contents, we have On Your Marks, Get Set, Craft. We have 5 beginner gold maker tips by Penguin, cross-server economies, and some further reading. So what he means by this one first is obviously going to be the fact that 9.2 is going to launch on the 22nd of February. I expect everybody watching this video probably already knows this information, but there is a couple of things that's actually pretty good. So, you know, as to introduce you into the patch and what's going to be gold making related. And what also to focus on. So that is something we're going to go over here so you guys can see it. So, of course, legendary best in slot locations, those are shifting. So expect changes in these markets, obviously, for which slots are best to go for. If you can craft every legendary that there is, then you're not really going to have much of a problem until you figure out what the best in slot is. I actually have a video that I made recently, one of the previous days, that goes over the Crafter's Marks and the Legendaries. So you definitely want to check that out because it's really good information. But additionally, on top of that, we obviously have Crafter's Marks, and this one is a 262 uniquely equipped, and these are kind of special in the items, and I would imagine that this is going to be heavily sold. And the main difference with this one is the fact that this requires one of the new Coalfight crystals, the 2.0 Coalfight crystals that are called Progenitor Essentia. So for making a rank 7 new legendary, that requires 2 of them, but to make this one specifically, that Crafter's Mark requires 1, obviously some other materials as well, but this will definitely keep on value probably for a while compared to the previous marks. We do have another one that's obviously Crafter's Mark 4, and that is going to be 233 eye level. And we will be able to get these at Honored with the new reputation called the Enlightened. So we are going to get this, as he says here, as early as week 1 or 2. Based on the numbers in terms of reputation, if you do all of the daily content that you possibly can on Serve Mortis, you will be able to get there in around 10 days, so a week and a half. So this is pretty accurate. Now, the second thing is obviously going to be rank 7 base legendaries, and we're going to get a new tome. We have the Vestige of Origins. Now we're going to have something that's called a Vestige of the Eternals. So, how we're going to unlock this is by completing Chapter 5, Crown of Wills, and that will unlock in week 3. So, week 1 is going to be the 22nd, 23rd, and then the week after, week 2, and then the week after, week 3. So that's like the 8th or 9th of March. So really quickly into the patch, we're going to have access to be able to craft these. And the same is going to be for the people that are making the legendaries to wear themselves, not only the base legendaries. So that's important to know. Another one is that we are going to still have demand for the current materials because they're in the new recipes. And they're also going to be gatherable in Seraph Mortis. But we also do have new materials in Seraph Mortis, if you guys did not know. A new ore, a new herb, new meat, fish, leather, and if I forgot anything, the whole row. But we do not have any new consumables, so we do not have any new elixirs, flasks, enchants, gems, all that. We don't have any of that, which means that the current consumables that we have a chance of spiking in demand, which could raise the price initially, depending on what happens. Unless they make some last minute changes before the patch comes out, that is what you can expect. And then obviously it's a whole new zone. It's a giant zone, new raid, 13 boss raid, lots of updates. I'm definitely looking forward to it a lot. And here is a little bit of a post that goes over what could be a legendary spreadsheet for a best in slot recommendation. And if you guys are interested in this, I have it posted on my other video, but obviously if you're going to check out this weekly economy post, you can go over here and click on this information. It's a lot of reading jobs, so I'm actually not going to go over this. If you're interested in finding out what the best in slots could be, definitely go and check this out if you're interested in the legendary crafting. And then there's some background on previous patches on, let's see here. Let me see what this says. Prices on some ores and herbs may spike. Okay, so this guy is comparing 8.3 and 8.2 to what we have in 9.2. There is going to be a little bit of a difference with these two patches, because in 8.2 and 8.3, we had a lot of differences. We had multiple stages of consumables as well. So not all of the materials that we're getting in the new patch and all the ones that we have right now are necessarily going to stay the same. But it's definitely important for you guys to look at this and consider your server, how many raiding guilds, how much activity there could be. If you haven't invested already, chances are it's probably already too late, but you could still be lucky to actually get in on this if you haven't already. But yeah, this is a very long post about why certain materials could go up in value, and this is obviously server dependent. If you guys want to take a read on this, there's some pretty good information here that goes over comparing previous patches to new patches, and usually you should always take that with a grain of salt, because Blizzard goes in similar patterns a lot of the time, but the player base changes and the interest of the player base also changes, which means that you should always be taking it with a grain of salt, because you can't always expect the same thing to happen just because it's the same time but in a new expansion. The game has changed many times. There are things that worked in BFA that did not work in Legion, and the same thing, there were things with Legion that did not work in BFA. And the same thing goes for Shadowlands and these other expansions. So always think before you make any real decisions. Now, down here, we have a video from Penguin, which is 5 Beginner Goldmaker Tips by Penguin, obviously the title. And she basically, the TLDR for the topics covered, we have them here. Diversify. What does she mean by that? Diversify quickly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're getting into gold making, don't pick one thing and do that endlessly. It's always like, if you're looking at getting into some gathering, right? You want to do mining. Don't just do one ore. Do like 5 to 10 different ones. And if let's say you have 10 hours, it's better to do 1 hour of each ore, figuring out what's good on your server, what does well. And then when that information comes in, when you start figuring that out, then you can decide to farm certain products or materials a little more than others. But it's always important to diversify as much as possible to grow your gold making empire. And then also, do not be afraid to use your gold. A lot of people, especially early on, the same with me, were very afraid of spending gold on growing your gold making activities, right? Spending gold on a new profession, or spending golds on some recipes. But what you always have to think about is just consider how much gold it can make you in the future, and then decide if it's going to be worth your investment, right? That's what I would say to that. And the other part is obviously going to be, always keep enough liquid to pay for a WoW sub if that's your goal. And other than that, I personally always try to keep as little liquid gold in my bags as possible. I always try to invest more, always leaving a little for, certain cases, of course. But if you want to get higher in gold and learn more, you have to spend gold to make gold. That's really how it is. And then here, TSM has a steep learning curve, but it is worth it. I will definitely say, for beginner gold makers to set yourself a goal of learning TSM, there is a lot that you have to figure out about TSM. But getting in on TSM early, when you start out your gold making practices, that could help you a lot, because you could start using it along the way as you learn how to make gold. So I definitely agree with that. But I will also say, unless you really, really, really want to get into TSM, don't worry about it too much, because you can definitely still make tons of gold without TSM. But it is a very, very good tool to increase the capacity. So definitely consider it, think about it, and don't be scared about it. Of it, rather. And then learn to craft and restock. This is basically if you want to get into the whole crafting aspect of gold making, which is usually used for professions. So obviously you buy a certain amount of materials, right? And then you craft something, hopefully for a profit. And then, getting into learning when to buy certain materials and when to sell them and all this. This is very good information. If you're interested in something like that, you should definitely learn as much as you can about it. And then it's not all just about legendaries. And this is, I been following me for a while. I'm not even doing legendaries right now. I plan on doing it in 9.2, but legendaries obviously is what a lot of people consider the best gold maker in Shadowlands, because it's the one that probably will net you the most gold if you go all in on it. But the problem with that is a lot of people get bored with just going one market or setting yourself in one basket. It's good to diversify, learn more about other markets and other opportunities, other materials, because in the next expansion we could have a situation where legendaries are not going to be a thing anymore. And if the only thing you learned about was the legendaries and the materials around it, then you're probably going to have a very hard time getting into it again, right? So definitely think about that if you are doing legendaries, or if you're maybe not. So we have something else here, which is cross-server economies. Now, this is, I would say, cross-server economies as in playing on multiple servers, bringing mats back and forth, or building up new accounts on new servers and anything like that. I would definitely say that this is going to be a high tier of gold making. So you should not do this unless you're pretty far into your experience, because this requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of research, and a lot of prep. But the TLDR for what Wura has made, also a part of this community, he made a little bit of a graph here for us to see. And we have over here on the Y side, let's call it that, and the X side going vertical, and Y is horizontal. We have up here going up, we have purchasing power priority, or parity. And what that basically means is it's basically purchasing power based on the more expensive servers and cheaper servers on the Y scale. And then this, the vertical scale, is purchasing power parity of selected EU WoW servers. So that's what kind of servers that he's looking at, right? So this is based on the population, how many people are actually on these servers. So what you want to look at when you're looking at this is we have up in this corner, the top left corner, we have low pop, but it's high price. Over in the top right, high pop, high price. Okay, high pop, low price, and low pop, low price. So the times that you would consider doing something like this is if you're trying to pick a server that you want to do gold making on, based on, let's say your goal is to farm, right? You would, if you are a farmer and you want to make your gold like that, a lot of the times it is better to pick a high populated server, because there's more players, which means more chances to sell the stuff that you're farming, especially if some old world stuff. But you also have to consider the fact on a high pop, the prices are usually lower. So depending on how much time you actually have to farm, you might be like, okay, well, maybe I pick a medium pop or a low pop, because then I can get a higher price for it for the times that I don't have that much time to play. But then again, if you have a lot of time to play, a lot of time to stock up, then it might be better to actually play on a high pop, because you get more sales of all the stuff that you're farming. But this is to each their own. It depends on what your goals are and what you set yourself as a main objective of your gold making in these servers. If you're interested in this, obviously go look at it. It's a pretty interesting piece of information, I would say. So for anyone that's interested in that, definitely go do that. And to that, actually, Samadan made a video where he went to Draenor to do this exact thing, cross server economies. So if you guys are interested in that, you should check it out if you're interested in that whole gold making aspect of the game. And then as well, to support that, Kajak also has another video for that specifically. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely go to it. And then obviously, as we end off every time, is all of that information was, well, not all of it, but a lot of it was discussed on the WoW Economy subreddit or the Discord server for the WoW Economy as well. So obviously, if you guys want to join any of those, there's links to it right here on the post. But that is actually going to be it for this lovely little post. And yeah, we had some pretty good information. Obviously, a lot of this is talking about 9.2, considering the fact that 9.2 is coming out here in, it's what, the 13th now? It's coming out in 10 days, at 9 for NA. So yeah, guys, get out there, prepare, get your characters ready, get your minds ready, get in some sleep if you need it, because we're not going to be sleeping much when 9.2 comes out. But if you made it all the way to this part of the video, I appreciate you very much. And if you did not like the video yet, please do. It supports me greatly. But that is going to be it for this video. And until the next one, see you guys.